Greetings, friends, and welcome to Indigo Ideas with the Mamas. So, we are the Mamas of Indigo's Cultural Arts Centers, and we are so excited to hang out and be chatting with you today because that's what we are doing. I am Mama Dawn, also known as Mama Omilade. Everybody say, hey, Omilade. Hey. And my mamas are with me here, so we're gonna join. We are here together, so we're gonna all introduce ourselves. Who's in the room? Who's in the room?
Yes. Mama Tanya Anki, my aunt, is here. Yes.
What's up, Mama Tanya? I am Mama Yeye Dandara, just Yeye.
Hey, yeah, yeah.
Hey, yay, yay, all day.
And I am Mama Jamila Niera, also known as Mama J.
All day. All day.
Oh, and today we want to talk about. I think our main topic of conversation today is about on being a mama. So, what does that mean? And we think about in African culture, we use this term mama, Mama J, Mama Tanya, Mama Dandara, Mama Dawn, right? We put mama in front of a woman's name. And that's something that sometimes people take for granted. And maybe, or on the other side, maybe people really don't understand what that means. So, how we get here? How we get here? You better jump in, girl.
Jump in. As you were talking, I was thinking back to early Indigo's days, right? And I joined Indigo's early on. It was already formed, but in that first year, I came on and I got to meet all of you beautiful mamas in this space. And I remember that the founder of Indigo's Cultural Arts Centers, Mama Nia, Omi E-Ray, she was really saying mama this, mama that. And for me, I was like, what is this?
Girl,
First of all, and at the time,
I was the same way. I was like, why we all gotta be mama?
why we all gotta be mama? And at the time, I was probably like 32, 33 or something, so obviously I'm old, and I have a daughter. I had a daughter, she was clearly already born at that time. So I was a mama, but I was not this notion of being called a mama in the community. I was kind of resistant at first because it felt old. And it also felt like, wait a minute, what does that entail? So it really became something I grew into.
Yeah, me too. Because I was like, at first, she introduced us. Mama Nia said, we're all gonna be mama this, mama, mama, mama. And I was like, okay, but I just like being Dandara. I'm Dandara. Sister Dandara, or well, I gotta be Mama Dandara. I don't want to know if I'm ready to be everybody's mama. Even though I was a mother at the time as well, but it grew on me, and over the years, it's kind of like, well, yeah, this is the place I'm assuming this position now, and maybe she just saw it. She already saw it coming, you know.
I think for me, coming from Maryland, where everybody, in the culture community was called Mama so and so, Mama, so I had been used and accustomed to being called Mama Jamila. Um, so it didn't really strike me as.
Yes, I met you as Mama J.
That's right, yeah, and I think that was just something. I mean, that just was part of the culture community, and so it didn't strike me as odd. Imagine it striking the ear of someone who's kind of newly introduced into the culture community, to know that, like, and then the brothers were Baba so and so, and so it didn't really strike me as odd, but I can see how you would feel compelled to grow into that because it is a responsibility.
Very much so.
Very much so.
I say this too when you just said something about the Baba. So I was very much familiar with the term
Yeah.
Baba. So it's kind of crazy now to think about it that Mama was like off-putting, and I couldn't immediately see that cultural connection in the same way that Baba was. And so over time, like, I've really come to respect that role of that mama in the traditional way, in the way that terminology is used, as equal to Baba. Baba always felt so grand and
It
lofty,
is,
and
yes.
mama felt like
Because it's much more common, right? Big mama. We think about big mama, right? And I'm like Jay, like in our experience in Baltimore, living in Baltimore, and especially I was with Sankofa Dance Theater for so many years, and being a part of that culture community, and that community that was very we keep saying the culture community, but that was very deep and rich and focused on African principles and learning and being an Africanness, right? So we were very astute with that, being mama this. And for me it was about responsibility, right? So it was definitely about age, but you did not have to be a mother to be a mama,
Exactly.
right? Because it was about, if I leave my child in this room with you, what are you going to do? Are you leaving the room because the kid is in there, or are you going to sit and watch the child, right? Like, do you care for and tend to others, children, in a way? If children are around you, do you care for them? Do you pay attention to them, right? Do you help to support? Do you nurture, right? A nurturing spirit. And that's for me the thing that kind of separates, well, not separates, but differentiates sister from mama, right? And I know in Muslim community, right, especially in our Nation of Islam, our friends with Nation of Islam, the mama is our sister, right? So I'm not talking in conflict with the Nation of Islam, because we love our brothers and sisters in the nation. So this is just different. We're looking in more traditional African culture communities. If you are a young woman who is being cared for, your sister, right? When you start to care for others, you become mama. And that's the audacious responsibility. Absolutely. But it's a beautiful one that I welcomed when I was a part of that community. And it comes with, for me, it also came with reciprocity, because when I walked into a space with my children, not just was I caring for not just was I caring for my children and other people's children, but if I walked out of the room, other mamas were caring for my children.
Absolutely.
Like, I remember one time I was at dance practice at Sankofa, and we had a school gym at the time. And I was in there, and Day was very young. She was probably two. And she's running around, and I'm in there in one room. And then her father walks in, and he's like, "Oh, where's Day?" I was like, "I don't know." He looked at me like I had lost my head. He was like, "Oh, what do you mean you don't know?" And I'm like, "Well, she's in here, but she's with one of the mamas. I don't know." I knew she was in the building, but I also knew that I didn't have to have my eye on her for her to be okay, because there were so many mamas in the space, right? And so that, for me, is what it means to be a mom. It's like, I know I'm good. I know the children in this space are good, because that's what mamas do. And that is I love that word, audacious. That might be my word for the day. It's an audacious responsibility.
Why not? But I agree with that, because I think that there is a collective understanding that we have as Black women, that I'm responsible for you and you're responsible for me. And that reciprocity that you spoke of is something that is invaluable. It's unspoken. Nobody ever has to say that, I want for my sister what I want for myself, even though we say it aloud. It's just a reminder that I'm never going to see your child in need, or I'm never going to see any other child in my purview doing something that is harmful or potentially, out of order, and not assert myself as an elder over that child and say, "What are you doing?" and bring you back to right, because that is my responsibility as a culture woman. And I think that there's something very remarkable about once you make that decision that I think, like you two women spoke of, like at first it was like, I'm not sure if I want to do this. And then after you kind of stood in it, it was like, okay, this is a righteous responsibility that I will gladly step into. And you do have to decide to be a mama.
Yeah. Because I was familiar with the concept, fathers and mamas, and we used it often, but I was like, am I ready for that? Am I supposed to be the mama now? Okay. Like a mama of all of these, all of these, all of these folks. But it's it was that collective work and that collective responsibility. Yes, Ujima, and that work that we were doing that kind of like, okay, okay, I can settle into this now. I feel like I can settle into this because I'm not alone. I'm not the sole person that's responsible because
I
we are
feel
all in
like
this together.
you all, as the founding members of the Greensboro Kwanzaa Collective, Mama J, Omilade, Mama Dawn, and Malania.
Mhm.
As for me, watching the three of you at very early on, because y'all came with the mama
Mm-hmm.
lingo from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So watching you all helped me to embrace it because I was like, oh, is this what it looks like? Oh, I can do that. I can do it, or and actually not only can I do it, but y'all had such open arms
Right.
and such almost like yes you can, and as a matter of fact it wasn't even so much y'all like oh yes you can be a mama. It was just you just demonstrated it, like when I watched that first who's gonna be the first to cry in this podcast? I'm trying not to cry. But I'm thinking about that first Kwanzaa. I can picture the we were at Hayes Taylor,
Mhm.
and I can picture the buffet line, the food, and just how y'all were like, we gotta feed the community, right? And I just remember finding myself on that line serving people,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
knew, it was just my first time, and I'm like, oh wow, that's right, that's what a mother does, you know what I mean? Like she feeds her family, and this community is my family, so it's not hard. And once I
Right.
realized the title sounds so big, like mama, it sound, but it's not hard to love, to care, to nurture. That's not a hard thing to do. And so watching you all helped me to really embrace it. So even though silently I was thinking like, Mama, but then after a while I was like, yeah, Mama Tanya, why? Because it is a responsibility, like you
Right.
said, yeah, it is, and you said as well, Mama J, in terms of the, collective work and
Mhm.
responsibility, the ujima of it all. It's like, yeah, I'm not gonna be taking all this responsibility and just just like your birth mama. It's like you can't
Mhm.
call her Kathy. Your
Right.
you should be like
You
put some
better
respect
not.
on my
Put some
name.
respect on my name,
And
exactly.
that's not an arrogant or egotistical thing. It's audacious,
Mhm.
right? It is
Mhm.
audacious, and um and you learn like, wow, but it is a duty and a responsibility.
But I think you learn it. Not only do you learn it, but you teach it to everyone else that is in community with us. Like I've paid attention to how our community has grown over the years, and how when I run into anyone who knows me from the work we do in the community, they instantly there's a reverence that kind of comes over them when they're addressing me. And at first I'd be like, that's kind of that's weird. The feeling initially is a little bit weird because you're like, these people might be my contemporary, but they're still, oh, hey, Mama J, how you doing? And I'd be like, oh, hey, girl, But then I realize it really is a thing that other people will aspire. And now you'll notice that other people in our community that are on what I always say, the fringe of what we do. These are the women and men and community members who kind of undergird the work that we do just by proximity. But I find that sometimes they like when they introduce their significant person, Mama J, this is my queen, Mama so and so. Like they're putting, they're offering their mate to be part of that responsible community. And that really is beautiful.
That is beautiful. I love that. And that's the thing too, like in just culture, when you're living culture intentionally, you
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like those putting even, in a lot of cultures, even in our own, like it'll be auntie so and
Yeah.
so, you
Yes,
know
Yeah.
what I mean?
absolutely.
Because it's like I recognize that that's the role that you play in my life, whether you're my actual aunts or not. You hold that for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a people, we're always looking at where do we fit in the community. Oh,
Right.
that's a mama, that's a baba, that's a sis, that's that's auntie,
That's
that's
my
aunt,
cousin.
that's cousin, so
Yeah.
that's cousin. And it's so beautiful that even in community we think in terms of family.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always I think about this and a powerful example of that is, in my work as a professor. I was at a professional conference, and there's this mama in the professional in academia, Dr. Cynthia Dillard, who's quite amazing. I like to think of her. She's like the Beyonce of academia, right? She's like a superstar, and her she's brilliant. She's a prolific author. She's a Nana. I don't know the whole title, but in Ghana, she has, like, I don't know if she has dual citizenship, but she has a school there. Like, she's really a rock star in academia. And so I've had the honor and the pleasure to share space with her. She know me by my first name and everything. And so we were actually in, I don't remember what city we were in. It's a conference that travels. And so we're sitting and we are having, she was the person who introduced me to Woodford Reserve. And so we're it's at the end of the day, so conferencing has been done, and we're just kind of hanging out. And this was probably, we had met several times and shared space several times, but we're sitting there, and there were other people there. But I leaned over to her, and I started to address her, right? And I usually call her Dr. Dillard, and I said, "Mama, can I call you Mama Cynthia?" And she looked at me and she said, "Yes." And I still get chills from that. And some of my friends were there, and I said, I don't think y'all understand what just happened." In that moment, the conversation, our relationship transcended the professional space. And what happened there was, can I count on you to mentor me? It was like I said to her, I see you, I see that you see me, and can I count on you to
Yes.
continue to steer me in the right direction? I said all of that by saying, "Can I call you Mama?"
Mm.
And when she looked me dead in my face and said, "Yes," her response was, "I
I
see
accept.
you.
Yes.
I see that you see me seeing you, and I accept the
That's so lovely.
responsibility." It is still so powerful that she allowed me and that she saw that I asked for permission.
Mm.
I didn't just start calling her Mama Cynthia in that space, that I asked her for permission, and she granted it. And it still was such a special thing because I acknowledged we were in a professional space, right? And she might have been like, "Let's keep it Dr. Dillard, ma'am." Let's just keep it here. She was like, "Yeah, yeah, And so, in that kind of thing, when I think of Mama, I think of that kind of responsibility. It's like, yeah, we're here to do this work.
Mhm.
We're here to do this work, and this work is not about money or stature. It's about community. It's about love. It's about
Real
being
nurturing from
real.
not just,
Come on.
it's not just what you eat, it's what you feed your soul and your spirit, and how you are being led and nurtured academically and personally,
Personally.
right?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. And I love the work that we do here. And when I think about Indigos and why we're here, right? These conversations we're having, Indigo's cultural art centers that really grew as the Greensboro Kwanzaa Collective grew, and our work here in the community, and what it is that we wanted to do in 2010 was not just get together for Kwanzaa. We wanted to really help people understand what the Nguzo Saba means, what those principles mean, and what they mean, not just December 26th to January 1st, right? But what does it mean to live Ujima, right? You talked about that, Mama Dandara, that the collective work and responsibility. And that's the responsibility, right? Is helping practicing what we preach, first and foremost. So being a mama, right? Or being a mama is being. It's a thing. We tease, we go Mama J all day, but that's because she is Mama J all day. right? Like that's who you gonna get. Who you see is who you gonna get. It's not pretentious. It's not fake, right? This is who she is, and that's why you can trust in that. When you say Mama J, you can say it's like you put. I like to say with my students, I say you could put a period on that, right? And you could put a period on that because that sentence is fintish, right? But that's what it is. It's and that's the audacious responsibility that we accept when we say, "Hey, I'm Mama." When you introduce yourself as Mama Anki Ma'ad or Mama Dandara, you're letting you know, "Hey, I see you, and I'm here in this role," and that's not a and like I said, that's not a pretentious role. It's like ha ha ha. Now serve me, right? It's a I'm here to nurture. I'm here to care. You know, yeah, yeah.
Sometimes you're like laid back in it too. You just think, oh, I'm just going to the store. I'm just going, and somebody's like, Mama J, Mama Ty. It's like, oh, how was I conducting myself?
Doesn't it though? Doesn't it also put you in a situation where you have to govern yourself accordingly? Like it really does create sort of guidelines for how you will operate from this point forward. Because you can't be calling yourself mama anything, and out here, you know, doing all the wrong things, and it's like, girl, that's your mama.
Like, what about talk about this road rage.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you're driving and like, oh, I can't be
Yeah.
shooting a bird because might be like, was that Mama Dondar?
Yeah, and then,
Oh
and
my
then,
gosh, no,
and then
I
at
got to
the
get it
same
together.
time, as I progress in age, as I progress in age, I do.
Right.
But I also, with that in mind, I'm also like, you know what though? Like I'm reminded when I went to the motherland, I was in Ghana, and I was so impressed with the women. Like the women run the marketplace. The women like that like. So going to the marketplace, who determines the prices of, you know what I mean? It's the women, and they're not just sweet and nice and sweet. You know what I'm saying? It is, it's no different than if your actual mama. Sometimes your actual mama is not always sweet and nice. You know what I'm saying? So I also remind myself of that too, because I think sometimes when it comes to like community, we expect people to have like this image of, what does it mean to be a mama in the community or an elder in the community or whatever it is role you play in the community.
Some holier than thou kind
Some
of thing.
sort of holier than, and it's just like, no, I'm a human being too.
Yeah.
I also get upset. I also, sometimes I'm happy. Sometimes I laugh too loud. Sometimes I, whatever it is, make mistakes, So being a mama, whether it's your biological children or, a mama in the community, I feel like it's also about demonstrating what it's like to be human, to live, to, you know what I mean, the demonstration of it all, you know what I mean, of what this, what being a mama looks like, and the lessons that you have to learn in that, just even through our work with the Healing Wheel, we interact with a lot of women who are coming to their healing journey. And, over the years, I found it important as a mama of Indigos, right? And mama of the Healing Wheel in a way. One of the mamas of the Healing Wheel is to not hide the fact that there's still things in me that I'm growing.
Right.
And
exactly.
evolving, right? And so if I just act like, oh, I have it all together.
I'm not this arrived individual that is not doing any kind of work on herself. No, I'm also a person who is still striving and nurturing myself.
Yes. And I would say that's even because I think a lot of our predecessors, like whether just mamas in the community or our birth mothers, did not always have that freedom, or they at least didn't feel it. Like I can't cry. We hear a lot of women before saying, I couldn't cry. I didn't have time to cry because I had to take care of the children. I had to do whatever, so it was this like hard exterior, or I can't show people that I'm struggling or I'm having a hard time or that I'm going through whatever, because I'm a mama in a community. And it's just like, no, but how will then the younger women know how to navigate through this if you never show them that you've cried, or that you flipped somebody the bird in traffic one time. It's like, oh man, whatever,
Yes.
Right.
It's the remembrance of the fact that you're a woman first.
That's it. Thank you.
If once you can remember that I am a woman first, I will. This other thing, I'm growing into this mama piece, right? I'm gonna evolve myself into that, but every woman can become a mama, you know. But it's just a matter of you remembering that it begins with the journey of being a woman. It starts right
Yeah.
there.
That's it.
Mm. Wow. That's deep.
Yeah.
That's audacious.
Yeah.
And that's the fun thing, right? Being the fun auntie. I have a couple of girlfriends who never had children and intentionally and were like, nah, I like being an auntie. you know? And I think that's a really important thing for us to not be in judgment of women who make decisions about how they use their bodies. Right? Some people, I know women who get married as soon as people get married or they get partnered or they get to a certain age. Oh, when are you going to have children? Oh, you haven't had children? When are you going to have children? When are you going to have children? It's like, can you get out of my vagina?
Yeah, please. There's not enough room here for all y'all.
It's not enough room. You know, and I can make a very informed decision of my own on whether or not I want to mother in that way. I want to birth children out of my vaginal canal or not, and that is none of your business.
Exactly. But listen, if every woman had to take on that responsibility, then that means every woman's hands are full with her own response. See, it's like we need the aunties, we need all those other women that are on the fringes, if you will, of the family structure, because without them, your hands are full. If everybody else's hands are full, then there's no one to catch you.
Oh,
There's no one to, you know what I mean? It's like you got to have those other women who have made conscious decisions not to parent. Especially when I was doing work as a doula, I would always talk to these women and say, women, period, and say, you do not have to become a mother in order to nurture, in order to love, and in order to really be of value in the community. Because I need your hands. I may need your hands. If my hands are full, with mothering my children, who's going to help me? If your hands are full and my hands are full, who's going to help me if I fall? We need we need those women, and we need to let them know that you still have a very valid and important place in our community. It's so vital. And not everybody is supposed to bring children forward in that way, but you can still push life forward with your wisdom, your nurturing, and your participation in the out.
Guidance, your expertise,
Absolutely.
your comic relief.
Oh my God, yes, especially. Yes, and especially that.
Yeah, I love that, Jay.
Yeah,
We need all our family members.
every last one. And I have a my daughter-in-law and my son don't have children yet. And I think she's always concerning herself with, oh, I'm not really sure if I want to do this. Darling, I assure you that it is of no consequence to me whether you do it or you do not. You have to know that this is something that you're ready for, and it can't be anyone else's decision. You must make that decision to cross. And if you never do, I personally am not going to make you feel as if you have some way shorted me. Now I don't get to be a great. Who cares? I don't. There's plenty of children in the community that I can nurture, that I can be responsible for. And there are enough children in this community that don't have anybody to hold them proper and right. And if everybody feels like they can only do it with their ones, then we're in trouble.
Yeah.
That's not even community.
No.
If you feel like that's just household. It's not. That's not community. If you only think you can take care of the ones in your own household or loving her. And as we were talking, I was remembering. I feel like it was that 2010 Kwanzaa, but it might have been 2011. It was very early on. We were still at Hayes Taylor, and I remember there was a little girl. She was holding her younger sister or sibling. I can't remember. Over that banister.
Ooh. Up high.
up high.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it from across the room, and about 10 other mamas saw it. And everybody ran over there, arms up, like, oh my God, if this 8-year old drops this to 18-month old, it's,
Right.
it was just like, oh my God, total freak out. You know what I mean? But all of the mamas and some of the babas obviously in the room, like in the middle of the program, like jumped up to, like, if we have to catch this child. And again, that really, to this day, that really stands out to me, because it's community. It's like, that's not my child, but I would hope that if my child was hanging over a banister balcony however many feet in the air, that other mamas in the room would run and try to catch her. You know what I'm saying? And so, thankfully she didn't fall. But or even, like, I remember Kendake, your baby girl, was really little, up and down those steps, and we would be like, oh God, is she okay?
Right.
Like, but it's just, and I think, sometimes too, and I know that there's, like, people, want to be mindful about how much do you um uh, inter what's the word I'm looking for, interject yourself into other people's, like, their children or their situations, and it's just like, yeah, but as a community though, like, I can't, if I saw your child really doing something detrimental, it's not a slight on your parenting. It's just, I happen to see it in that moment.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't mean, it's nothing against you. And vice versa. If you see my child, you know what I mean? It's not a slight against me. I would hope that you would intervene or say something. That's important.
That's the village, right? That's the village. I remember one of the best lessons I got in mothering was and it came from a woman who is several years younger than me, Maya, in Baltimore. And I go back to Sankofa. We were at the studio, and I saw her daughter do something, Aya, and I saw her, and I don't remember what she did, but I saw her daughter do something, and then I went and told Maya, the mother, and I said, "Oh, Aya just did X, Y, and Z." She said, "So, what did you pop her?" And I said, "No, I'm coming to tell you." She said, "Don't tell me, you saw it, handle it." And she was that serious and was a little annoyed with me. Like, you just watched her do that, and then you gonna come tell me to handle it. You were there. And I was like, oh, snap. That's what this is. And that doesn't always translate to popping children, right? But the idea was, mother her, take care of it. I could have just talked to the child. I could have, whatever, but stopped her from doing it. And I'm sure I probably stopped her, but I went to kind of, don't come tell me, handle it. Like, I trust you. And that was also the sisterhood in that, right? I trust you to care for my children just as I would care for yours, and as I would care for her if I were there, how you would have handled that. I trust your response. I trust you. And I want you to, and it was almost, again, like she gave me permission, right? But that was a lesson for me. I was like, wow, okay, that's what we doing here. Word.
And it never had to be spoken to you like that again, because you understood the assignment, and we're all responsible for one another, and once we know that, and we are allowed to operate in that knowingness, and we give ourselves permission to do that, to operate within that knowingness, there's a certain peace that comes over you. Like, I know I could leave when my children were younger. I could have left them with any of you all and never have to worry, and did leave you all with them and didn't worry. And I think that that's really so important, when you think about creating a community of families, you know, um, you that is a it's an unspoken knowingness that we have. I'm responsible for you, you're responsible for me. But the freedom that comes from that, like, I can't tell you how free I felt in that experience, not knowing that I didn't have to be there at every moment to know that my children were cared for well.
Even I find it so beautiful. Like, as you were talking, I was remembering this moment with Iolosha. Have we said her whole name on here? Iolosha, Only Ire, Olomo, Aset Siadagoon, Leicester, Niangela Hendricks Wilson.
Yes,
Woo!
yes.
The founder of Indigo's
Right.
Cultural Arts Centers. But I remember the first time that her girls stayed the night at my house. And I can't remember what year this was, but they were still very young. And I knew at the time, you know, Mama Nia obviously, didn't eat meat or anything. And so I remember wanting her to know, I'm going to treat your children the way you would in your house. Like I went out and bought like whatever they would eat at the time. I remember getting like some veggie burgers and all kind of stuff. And then coming to her afterwards, like dropping the girls off and being like, and I fed them this, like being really proud, like
Mm-hmm.
I fed them how you would feed, your children. And she was just like, of course, yeah, like I wouldn't even left them with you, as she was talking. I wouldn't even left them with you if I would have thought. So it was such a beautiful moment that she trusted. Like it was not a conversation we had. Like, okay, they can only eat this, and they can, you know what I mean. She just was like, hey, me and Sean, we're going out.
Mm-hmm.
Here are the girls.
Mm-hmm.
And she trusted me with that. And I remember how I felt in that moment that, wow, she trusted me.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't even need to talk about it. And she didn't need me to talk about it.
Right.
But it was just like, wow. I might have stepped into my role as mama at that point. Like, I'm a mama. I'm a mama.